Well, America, I'm definitely glad to be back to share, some more inevitable, powerful, moving, unmovable knowledge and understanding. Because we there. That's what all the agitation is because we're there. And let me tell you, I was wondering, and I have a question. Okay. I don't know if many of you have heard of Stockholm Syndrome. And, Stockholm Syndrome is a, um, a condition. Okay. It's what's strange. It seems like it's a condition, right? That we share some similarities with as an entire race of people. Maybe it's just me. I doubt it. But there's a thing called the Stockholm Syndrome. For those who don't know what the Stockholm Syndrome is, let me give you the definite quote here. Stockholm Syndrome is a psychological mental response. It occurs when the hostage in a kidnapping situation becomes sympathetic with the captors. And over the time, some victims do care to develop positive feelings towards the captor. And this is opposite of what the victim should be feeling, normally feeling the situation: fear, terror, disdain, and a unsatiable desire to be free. Okay? That's what the Stockholm Syndrome is. I'm just saying, Black America, it just seems like as a race of people, and I say as a race of people because we have this thing to believe that economics or job status or career separates us from the rest of us. It doesn't. It doesn't. And anytime you try to move beyond that, they slap you right back in line. You can't escape it. We cannot escape the fact of this existence of sometimes it just leaves me at a loss for words, but you always have to maintain this perspective of we understand how it was. Okay. I don't take anything. Matter of fact, make no mistake about it. Every single thing that has happened, I cannot judge at all. Because if I'm going to believe, and I know God is in control, then that means every single thing that has happened, going to happen, has happened. What he I said this before, the God I serve is not the security guard of the earth. I see you. No, no. This is a God of a universe. Regardless of how the Matrix try to explain how we got here, which phantoms me, because in the scheme of things, like an ant mind is to ours, if an ant even has a mind, that's where our mind and understanding is to God. Excuse me, but I do understand the desire to want to, you know, to know and to be there. Excuse me. And I understand that. But people, we have got to understand that we have evolved economically, spiritually. I'm not going to jump spiritually too quick with the evolution, because we still got to understand that the religion, even as we practice it today, was tainted from the beginning, because black preachers couldn't preach what they want to preach in slavery or right after slavery. You'd have been killed talking about the wrong things and the wrong power. That's why today any pastor, any preacher, any honorable man or woman that talks about God and the power that God has given you, with the God in you, they disgrace, eliminate, and play us off as if they're fools, and it's just foolishness. But this Stockholm Syndrome, now, I say it that because it's do we not possess enough understanding at this point to walk away from the madness? See, because you got to understand, like in that movie Matrix, everybody that's in the Matrix don't want to leave the Matrix. Matter of fact, in the movie, remember, there was a person that sat there with one of the demons. They call them agents. They fire them guns, to kill you, fiery darts. But he sat with one of the agents, Mr. Smith, and wanted to get back in the Matrix, and sold out those who were leaving the Matrix. So make no qualms about it. There are those who don't want to walk out the front door after being kidnapped psychologically. See, yeah, and I'm gonna talk that on another video about how God allows slavery, but the revelation of the slavery's barbaricness is getting ready to show in this magnificence. But the Stockholm Syndrome is killing us. But what hurts me, and what my ministry, and what my motivational speaking and life coaching and want to get around and speak around the world is about, what it's doing to those that are coming after us that deserve the greatness of God. But because our representation of God's purpose, anointing, the power, the gift, the purpose, misrepresented it, then we want to know why our youth don't want to follow. They don't want to stay with the captor. And what I'm saying to you is, why should it be where, like when God had with didn't allow the whole generation to go over, including Moses, none of them that were freed from Egypt went to the promised land. It was this next generation because they were hard headed. That's why they marched and marched and marched. They were close to the promised land, but they marched and marched and marched. Disobedience. And we got to be obedient to those who are in obedience to the truth. Do you understand what I'm saying? There's a lot that don't want to leave the captive state of degradation, infiltration, foolishness, diminishing status, stature of a people. And it's not going to be where you have some that, gonna leave out, gonna leave out and do their thing. You're going to have some that's going to want to stay captive with the captors in their mind. See, a lot of times they even want you to believe, like with Dr. King, but see, while we constantly play that I Give a Dream, white girls, black boys on mountaintops and rainbows and petals of flowers and floating the clouds, whatever it was, the one that we always hear, we need to understand where Martin had finally realized. He said, maybe I have judged this wrong. Now, I'm not saying that he was going all the way back, going all the way to the side of militancy, but he was definitely starting to rethink his philosophical views on turning to people with love and to passion and all the humanistic things that are of God. See, because right before he got murdered, he was talking about the injustices, and he was talking about that maybe he might have erred. Maybe he might have been wrong. Because he said the people that he is trying to, and the things and the viciousness for which he is dealing with, is making no headway whatsoever. The viciousness is beyond what he could even imagine. You never hear the speech about, the economics and, they tell us to pull up our bootstraps, but you ain't got a straps boot. You ain't even got a soul. You got nothing. Listen, anybody tell you that it's not horrific? You got to, because I said this in my other videos and I'm going to say it again. This is the era of the fruit. You hear me? Of the fruit. Anything else is suspect. And if you're not looking like what you're claiming and what's falling on the ground is not what you're claiming, and your seeds is not what you're claiming, then, you're going to be called out for who you are. Because in the last days of this foolishness, you don't think God has sent the spirit of intellectual, spiritual, and moral fortitude beyond anything you can understand. It's hard when you got to kill a million Malcolms, a million Medgar Evers, a million Malcolm X. Becomes difficult. That's why we got to leave the captive. We was kidnapped, the physical, So everything was allowed. It's okay, we're here. But we need to understand why things are here. We got to get away from the captive mindset, people. Are you serious? And then we got to understand the foolishness and deal with it. Accept it and roll over it. Okay? Because the Matrix is clever. The programmer, ooh-wee, right? He running all this. And so you stay captive, just like in the movie in the last one, he said he modified the program to make it a little easier because all the little pods that they had people in were getting a little agitated. They weren't kind of happy with the program. You get these centers, you get people that, wondering, and you don't want that. It's the main thing. You don't want no wondering greater beyond what they're feeding you. You don't want to tap into what is inside of each one of us. And I'm talking about the ability to lose weight. Because, man, whatever thing that you struggle with, whatever, when you tap into that power, that unmeasurable power of a loving and merciful God, the miracle, the unbelievable, the blessings, but more so the understanding to get to see beyond the foolishness in the program. We've got to get away from this captive mindset. We're the only people that want to stay with the hostage. I don't care what other people go through. I don't care for Mexicans, Koreans, all of them. Beautiful people. We all are beautiful people, God's people. But they choose not to stay with the captive. Now they'll do business with the captive because he's not a captive anymore. In their eyes, because they're free. So they'll deal with him like that. But us, we won't come together and then do business. We want to still intertwine, stay with the captor. And like I said, at Stockholm Syndrome, I got a video on oblivious history and how it's a disgrace how we allow the history book, how we allow a book that doesn't tell the true nature of the greatness of African Americans. The fact that those who have come before us, privacy, that's foolishness, man. Man, are you serious? Private school, this, that. I don't care what kind of school. If it's not teaching what our children need to feed their inspiration, mind, intellect, just move all kind of stuff in them instead of you ain't gonna be nothing but a janitor, flunking them, not caring. You got the Beckys, the Karens, the coaches, the ones that was, hate blacks, niggas, all that stuff, teaching our kids. People, it's time. It's time. You hear the agitation? There's a guy that is on the internet. His name is Charles. I can't think of his last name, but he's, I won't say a character because he's not a character. Oh, man is a soldier. Now, he has a way of saying things, and I don't agree with everything anybody says. But I know he loves his people. But he needs to be corrected because he said the youth were lost. They're not lost. The youth, they want to listen, but they're not finna listen to the same ones that's leading you down the rabbit hole. They don't want to listen to the same ones who keep hollering, Jesus, 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 but exercise nothing, nothing, nothing of what is becoming of a partnership with Jesus. It's just South, keep talking about, and that started in the South with, we'll get our heaven and our riches later in life. Don't worry about the suffering now. The by and by is when you're going to get yours. It's coming. They can't take that from you. Well, they can't take this from you. And they're not going to take this from our youth. And they're not going to take this from true believers. And they're not going to take this from a victory. It's already yours. Are you serious? Do you know how sweet that is? Do you know how sweet that is? To be able to go in a game. Let's just put it on a worldly term, in a worldly scenario. You already know. The boxing match, you already know who's going to win. The Super Bowl, you already know. That's something, huh? Well, we got that. We got that in our existence. Eternal life, our power. We already got victory. How we losing? We're not losing, but we're losing too many. Can't lose something that's already won with a God that's over everything. But we're losing too many in this war. And a lot of it has to do with this Stockholm Syndrome. We just cannot come together because we just want to stay with the captor. And I'm talking about intellectually, morally. We adapted same morals, same foolishness. People, we got to get away from the captor. We got to come together as a people. Every time people rich that you can't escape it. And if you think you're saving up your millions, I don't care if you're a record producer, a basketball star, or a hockey player star, or a golf star, and you got your family line, because I want to do that. That's the reason I got myself together. Not only financially, but so intellectually and spiritually, I can feed my tree, my family tree, and what's coming up after that. Better. I understand that. So I do understand that. But understand this. I don't care what I set aside. And I don't care how many millions you set aside. If we don't get a grip as a people, they'll find a way to get that from them later. See what I'm saying? So how do you escape it? If you don't stop that right there, you stop that raging bull. Just because your family, which they prove to steal, you still an N-word, no matter how much money you got. So if we're gonna, save money, and we done took care of our family, we done took our family out the ghetto and everything else. Believe me, you're gonna be back in it. If we don't take care of this, those millions that you got set aside, they'll have that with some kind of scheme, foolishness, or whatever. Prove it every time. That's because we keep thinking individualization is the key. Not in this. We all suffer this. We all got to get this right. From many intellectual levels, financial levels, spiritual levels, from milk to meat, but on the same page of coming together, not to hate anyone, because we've always proved to be the loving, understanding, and oh my God, we take everything and walk away and everybody else demand correction of a wrong. Black folks, we gotta wait till people feel like correcting it. Can we get used to correcting it? It's ridiculous. And then that's when you get confusion. And point like D.L. Hughley and Monique. And the reason I call that confusion because I know both of them love their people. See what I'm saying? But that matrix is cold. But we need to understand in Monique's, don't agree with everything I just told you. So don't even try that with me because I'm not the one. I don't spend time. I don't have time for foolishness. So I throw that out there where I don't just agree with everything she said or everything anybody has said. But once again, you see how that's orchestrated? Two people that love their people with all their heart not working together. And Monique, from Marcus Cargill to you, I understand your pain. I had a situation at a church where and even the bishop said he understands it wasn't the right place, but he understands how I felt, where I came from, and everything else. So Monique, I understand. It's the Stockholm Syndrome. It's like, damn. Come on, man. It's ridiculous. You got Oprah, you got this, that with billions, you got Ben Carson being elected to run HUD, and he got nothing knowledge of HUD, but a brilliant man, one of the best heart surgeons in the world. But yet I seen a special where Oprah mentions about different medical attention and services in different area codes. I mean, man, I love Oprah. Hey, don't agree with everything. Think she's done a lot. And a lot of stuff still, But the thing is, where Oprah has to understand is when she did that special on that medical care, it's a waste of money and waste of time because we all know that. I don't get that. What I don't understand is why don't the billionaires and all these blacks and intellectuals get together and we keep talking about how for an example, that black mothers and that how they get lousy prenatal care and all of this stuff. And we talk about the medical care, or we talk about how black men don't like to go to doctors because we know what they do. Okay, well, let me ask you this, America. Why is it we couldn't? Because like I said, any other race, they just don't. Listen, they'll build a hut and start doing it themselves. Why can't we, instead of putting money there, instead of Ben Carson wasting his time doing something he don't know what he doing, and bring his brilliant mind for a great cause? And we keep talking about this medical care. Do we not have enough intellectuals? Do we not have enough money? Do we not have enough? Of course we do. But that's Stockholm Syndrome. Okay? That's Stockholm Syndrome. You just want to stay with the captor. We're so fractioned off that we just can't get together. Understand? We're still kidnapped mentally. Because, for example, like I said, okay, so let's say we just took him and had opened up a hospital. Not a black hospital. Hospital for everyone. But a black hospital, if that's what you want to call it, if that's what it's going to take to get the right medical care, if that's what it's going to take to eliminate that gap with prenatal and black women and black babies not being taken care of and all that. Why are we still talking about that instead of doing something about it? Are we not in a position? We can start with 10 cities, 10 of the largest cities, 5 of the largest cities for a pilot product, a pilot program. A church ran, operated, noticed by blacks. And have a transportation network, right? And we definitely could do that. They got St. Jude, they got this, that, they got all these things where they can go and they don't even have to pay for medical care, which is absolutely amazing. The Shriners, the St. Jude's, and what they do for kids, and Ronald McDonald House here in Milwaukee, absolutely amazing. Not taking away from that at all. But in that sense, you can have transportation. So it would resemble like the bus boycott, because the way that worked was, and that's one of the only things that worked because there was economics involved in it. Black folks said we had enough, and they networked. So you know what? We could have, just say for instance in Chicago, you had a black hospital. I mean, seriously. And those who feel like they need that care, this, that, you're going to come here, you're going to get the right care. Okay? And if you got to travel extra miles to get here to avoid that bogus hospital that's in your community, then you know what we're gonna do, like in the bus boycott. They had riders, they worked with each other, they networked, they made it happen. Things didn't fall apart. The bus company was about to fall apart. People still had their jobs, people still went on, they just did without that and made it happen. So if we had to bring the black mothers or the older black man to that hospital, and he wants to come there because he knows there he's going to get that honest treatment and all this medical care thing that we keep talking about. We ain't got to talk about it no more, because you know what? You ain't got. And I guarantee you, when they don't get none of the business, none of the HMO business, none of that, because it's coming to there, they'll change. They'll change. But I just don't understand. We don't have enough money, enough intellectuals, enough doctors, enough this, that to open up a hospital, one in each major city, supply free transportation to anybody who wants to come. That if you feel like you're not getting, we'll get you there. And I'm talking about that's written in stone. I guarantee you things will change. But once again, that's Stockholm Syndrome. Listen, those who think they've escaped the kidnapper with your millions, your career, your family, your little getaway stuff, you haven't. You have not at all. These people in the Matrix, they got plans that's 2 generations away from now. So if you're me, if you got a $100 million basketball contract and you done put trust funds, you got your family set up lovely. Woo! Lovely. You done changed your family tree. Not really. Let me bring you down to earth, baby. Not really. That's a temporary thing that you feel good about, and that maybe a generation or two gonna feel good about. But remember, they're after you. They're after every dollar. They're after your health. They're after your life. They're after your sanity. They're after your growth. They're after your purpose. They're after your eternity. And that stops because you got millions. Can't escape it. It's a temporary thing. Should some of that stuff still be set aside and done right? Of course. But collectively, If that's not going to be done, then we're going to have to do some other things. We're going to have to do some other things. And it's really only one choice, baby. I'm sorry, it's one choice. We all got to come together to fight this beast. And we all got to get together so we get strong enough to go ahead and leave leave out the front door that's wide open. But that's Stockholm Syndrome. James Baldwin put it best. And here's the sad part about it. Plenty of you all probably don't even know who James Baldwin is. And I'm talking about the youth, because they ain't been taught that. They don't put greatness and none of that stuff. But please look up James Baldwin. Please look at some of his videos and see this eloquent hero without the mask and with a cape on. And not a Superman across his chest, but a super G. Because he come in the name of God with truth. But he said it best. He said it best, and I'm going to leave you with this. He said, because of the state of mind of black people, we actually get involved with the murderer as we're being murdered. We're part of our own murdering. And then there's nothing around to measure that. That was back really, but it is stuff now. And we got to do something. Stockholm Syndrome, America, Black America, got to get out of it. Got to get out of it. Got to get out of it. We need everybody to pull together, every economic, social status, whatever. It's going to take us all to accept the truth, to ignore those that want to tell us what the truth is, and make some things happen. And quit worrying about what the odds are, what the numbers are. Because when you're backed by God, doesn't matter what the numbers are, baby. Not one bit. Not one bit. But this Stockholm Syndrome that I'm not saying we are in, so don't quote me. I'm just saying, Black America, does it seem like that's possibly what could be going on with us? And if so, what's the course of action? Okay? Because that's what I'm about, action, baby. We're going to get some action. We're going to get some action. So listen, I love you. I love you with the love of God. We owe it to our youth. I've been working, owe it to our youth. I've given up the last 4-5 years of my life in solitude working towards this point. Thinking about my granddaughters whose birthdays I missed and everything else, because I'm thinking about what I can leave them and what I want them to leave their children and their children and their children. And it's not mostly money, because they'll get that. They can take that, swindle that. But they can't take what you got here. They can't take what you got here. And they can't take, they can't take that. You're God, connected to the God. But you got to get that God. You got to light that fire under the God that's in you. Stockholm Syndrome, this time is out. Monique, I love you. The frustration is ridiculous. Like I said, I don't agree with everything. But what I do know is She's had enough. A lot of people have had enough. And in having enough, you get overwhelmed. And then when you really know the seriousness of the foolishness that is before us and that continues to take place when it doesn't have to, it leaves us, we get emotional, right? So I love you with the love of God. We got to free ourselves, free our minds, but not unto individualization, but on collectivism and spirit, truth, moral righteousness, and understanding that our youth deserve to know the real God. They deserve eternity. They deserve to know what's bottled up inside them. And that's why they act like they act. We ain't got no belligerent fools. We got gifted kings and queens that can't even walk down the street without maybe getting killed or something. So we got to get this together, okay? I love you. I love my people. I've given my health, my life, last few years of my life for this purpose. Because the future thereafter, but the future is yours. How do I know? Because it was given to you before we was born. I love you. I love all people. But it's black people that is being bamboozled to destruction. Can't escape it. I love you. Peace.